That reminds me. Someone mentioned the clothing that the deceased was wearing on the day of the incident. That's odd. There's nothing that stands out about the clothing. Somebody said something about what the deceased had been wearing that day. Something about... That's right. The deceased was apparently wearing a red t-shirt on the day of the incident. Did he change after he got home? Or was there some reason for changing his shirt?
This is a blood stain. One moment, please. I did some quick calculations. A stain of that size would take about 800 milliliters of blood.
The average adult male would have to lose at least 1,500 milliliters in order to bleed to death. This means that... Well, the amount of blood loss required varies from person to person, so this isn't quite proof. It is unusual, though. I'll have to remember it.
Dr. Kimishima, did you receive the voice data?
From the deceased's girlfriend? Have you sent it?
You should be able to listen to it using the recorder. Please listen to it when you can.
Right. First, I want to know about the deceased's source of income.
He did seem fairly well off for somebody without a steady job.
Indeed. I'll be listening for that while I'm going over the recording.
Seriously? What do you guys want? I've got work to do, so let's get this over with. Huh? Dennis? You mean Dennis Taylor? Wow, that name brings back bad memories. We broke up years ago. Yeah, at first I thought he was an interesting guy, pretty cool and all, but he never had a job and he just kind of wandered through life. Oh, but he always had money. I'm sure he didn't come by it honestly. Oh, but he always had money. I'm sure he didn't come by it honestly. Ugh, are you really this slow? Don't you get it? Drugs. He was a drug dealer.
Good heavens. The deceased's been holding on to quite a secret. I'm going to have to change the way I approach this case. Let's go through the information we have, now that we know the deceased's true identity. Unbelievable. The deceased had this hidden dark side to him.
This is looking more and more like a case worth investigating. If Dennis Taylor was a drug dealer, then there could be a variety of reasons to kill him.
Still, I can't let my prejudices cloud the truth. I need to remain objective. However, it seems that we're going to have to change our views regarding this case.
Right. I'll prepare the CSI's ALS.
ALS? The advanced light source that can adjust the wavelength being emitted?
That's right. An object's visibility depends on the light being reflected from that object. The ALS lets you select a particular wavelength to focus only on what you want to see.
Or hide what you don't want to see.
Oh, no.
I'll try using it. Thanks, little guy. It's true then. This does have to do with the victim, but I wonder why. I get the feeling that there's something very wrong about this. Indeed. At first glance, it doesn't seem like these refer to the same person at all. On the one hand, drug-dealing scum enjoying his life. On the other, a man with suicidal depression. Either one of these clues is false, or there's more to this shady business that I haven't found out. In either case, the truth of the matter is that he was indeed a drug dealer. There's white powder scattered on the floor. It looks like there are footprints in it. I can guess at what this powder is, but I should send it in for analysis just in case. This powder on the floor seems to trail behind the shelf. Bingo. There's more of that powder inside this hole in the wall. What an obvious place for a hiding spot. Mr. Taylor wasn't all that clever.
Dr. Kimishima, about that white powder that was spread on the floor, there were traces of drugs found within it. A number of different sets of footprints were identified in that powder as well. They all belong to the firefighters, police, and you, of course.
I see. That means... How could I do that? Exactly. That would be the case. The room belonged to the deceased. If the drugs had been spread on the floor before the incident, his footprints should be there as well. But the only footprints in the room were from people who had entered after the fire. This would mean that the drugs would have to have been spread before or soon after the fire began. All right, let's go over the information we've gathered. First, the white powder. Yes, the trail of drugs led directly to the hole behind the shelf. If the same powder from the floor was inside the hole, then... That's right. But there weren't any drugs inside the hole. The layer of drugs had footprints from the firefighters, the police, and me left in them. All of the footprints had something in common. Indeed. There weren't any footprints from before the time the fire began. So from this, we can deduce that the drugs must have been scattered on the floor when... Concentrate. Yes. If I take this even further, I'd say that it would have been after Mr. Taylor stopped moving. In other words, it must have happened between his death and when the fire started. But why were there drugs on the floor? Yes, they must have spilled out when someone removed the drugs from the hole in the wall. Dennis Taylor was killed, and someone walked out with the drugs. I'm starting to get a clearer picture of what happened here, but there's no proof just yet. I need to move on to the next step. I should consult with the little guy about this.
Dr. Kimishima, have you confirmed that it's a murder after all?
I don't know how you heard about that so quickly, little guy. Have you been eavesdropping on me?
Huh? What? No,
Forget it. I can see right through you.
Oh, right. I have a new tool for you. It's luminol. Do I need to explain it to you?
A chemiluminescent material based on reducing 5-nitrophthalhydrazide with sodium dithionite. It reacts to iron and hemoglobin by glowing, making it useful to find otherwise hidden bloodstains. Anything else?
No.
Good. I just spray this onto suspicious areas, then shine the ALS on it, right? I'm sure it will be useful. Thank you, little guy. So there were bloodstains here too. If these are from the deceased, we may be able to use this with something else that we know. There's a reaction to blood on the screw that's securing the doorknob. The screw seems rather loose as well. Come to think of it, the door to this room was chained shut when the fire started. Could this be related to that in some way?
This? It just looks like a loose screw to me.
Think harder, little guy. How was the room when the firefighters arrived at the scene? The entrance was closed, but was it completely inaccessible? That's right. The chain on the door had been attached, but the door itself wasn't locked.
Sorry, but the door only opens about 15 centimeters with the chain attached. I don't even think a small child could get through a space that small.
You're so unimaginative. Flex your mind and think about it. Listen to me. What I'm trying to tell you is... this loose screw tells us everything. With the screw removed, the entire plate on the door can be swiveled around by the doorknob. The plate itself is about 20 centimeters long, so the gap increases to almost 35 centimeters. How big does somebody have to be that he couldn't fit through a space that size?
Oh, I see now. That's more than enough room to get past the door. So the killer just screwed the plate back on from the outside after he left the room then?
I think that's the most likely explanation, but the killer was in plain sight once he was outside the door. He wanted to finish quickly. The killer couldn't completely tighten the screw and left the area as we found it.
Wow. That proves that this isn't quite the locked room mystery we thought it was.
Still, this doesn't help us figure out who the killer is. I need to investigate the situation in more detail. That's right. There were 2 different bloodstains left in the deceased's room. Now, which of these bloodstains happened first? That's true. unless the corpse got up and walked over by itself. It's most likely that the deceased died where the first bloodstains were found, and then was carried to the bed afterwards. That would explain why there was such a small amount of blood on the bed itself. There's a rope wrapped around the shaft of the ceiling fan. There's no mistake. Those are bloodstains.
Dr. Kimishima, sorry for the wait. The analysis of the burnt material has come back from the laboratory. Calcium hydroxide was detected in the sample.
Calcium hydroxide? You mean slaked lime?
Yes, small amounts of quicklime were also detected. Quicklime is a substance that releases a great deal of heat when it reacts with water.
Oh, I see. So this was...
I agree, but isn't it odd? If the killer wanted to start a fire, there are far easier ways to go about it.
You're right. There must have been a reason for this. It's our job to investigate that, isn't it?
Dr. Kimishima, we've identified the blood on the screw. It's a DNA match with the victim, Dennis Taylor. Why would his blood be there, of all places?
It's simple. What happened was... Concentrate. I can't mess around anymore. It's time to get serious. That's right. It's probably because he touched the murder weapon.
Wait, why would the killer touch that screw with the murder weapon?
He would have to, if the weapon was... I can't make any more rash decisions. I need to think cautiously. Yes, a screwdriver. It was likely used to both loosen and tighten that screw.
I see. Then the screwdriver left the blood on the screw while he was covering his tracks.
Yes, these pieces of information are hiding an important fact. I didn't notice because the bleeding had stopped completely, but this isn't a bruise. It's a stab wound. This strange pattern here is likely... I can't make any more rash decisions. I need to think cautiously. I can't mess around anymore. It's time to get serious. Yes, that's right. It's indisputable evidence that the weapon was jammed in so deeply that the grip left a bruise. Yes. These do lead the way to a definite truth. Looking at the location of the bruise, the tip of the screwdriver must have pierced Dennis's lung. His lung would then rupture, causing pulmonary emphysema, and he would have suffocated. This explains the spots of hemorrhaging in the corpse's eyes. What actually happened that day is slowly coming to light now. Yes, these two can tell us how the murder happened. On the day of the incident, the killer came to the victim's room and stabbed him in the torso. The murder weapon was, "I can't make any more rash decisions. I need to think cautiously." Yes, the screwdriver pierced the victim's lung, causing pulmonary emphysema. This caused respiratory problems due to lung failure. Thus, the cause of death was, "I can't make any more rash decisions. I need to think cautiously." After this, the killer moved the victim to the bed. This is most likely because, "I can't make any more rash decisions. I need to think cautiously." Indeed. The murderer then arranged the corpse to make the death appear to be a suicide. That is what I believe took place, according to the evidence we have gathered. This does raise some doubts. The electrician supposedly came to the victim's room to fix his air, but he didn't repair the ceiling fan? Or did the fan break after the electrician had left? In any case, I'll need to hear his account again.